delighted and privileged to be joined here by Becci from Computing in School, who's going to be talking us through a number of initiatives that are already in place, as well as one or two things that might be on the horizon moving forward. But Becci, if I could ask you first of all, just for a brief introduction as to who you are and what you do at Computing in School.
Sure. Hi everyone, my name's Becci. Most of you know me anyway. So I am an ex-computing teacher and I now work for BCS, the Chartered Teacher Variety. And one of the many programmes that we run is Computing at School, which is the subject association for computing teachers, and everything that we offer is entirely free.
So when it comes to artificial intelligence, this is obviously something that you've been working on for quite some time in your capacity. What has changed for you, particularly over the last 2 or 3 years, as Gen AI has started to become more mainstream in the school space?
I think there's kind of two main bits to the changes, partly in terms of, obviously, the first version of ChatGPT came public, and everyone's going, oh my God, this is amazing. But also, it wasn't perfect. It was still not perfect, but it was, I think, how much the technology has advanced and what it can now do, I think is amazing. And I think the way that we're really opening it up to kind of, we're not just saying, oh, it's only for adults, and we're educating children on, what's important, what do they need to know, and getting them to start understanding kind of what AI is at a basis level when they're in young age, and just kind of moving that on as they grow up.
And what does that look like for you and your organisation? How are you helping teachers and students alike navigate a lot of unknowns in this space?
So one of the things that we have is an online AI community, which anybody can join, whether you're a computing teacher or not, whatever phase you teach, whatever subject, everybody is welcome. And then through that, we offer a range of online webinars that people can join. We'll get different guest speakers in to come share different things. So whether it's some new tool that, people might want to use in the classroom, whether it is something specific that they've trialed within their school that they want to share with others. And then through that, there's also in-person events. So in March, we've got an AI Teach Meet coming up that's being run by John. So that's going to be a great place for teachers to just kind of share ideas and, just see what other people are doing while we are really still in AI infancy mode at the moment. There's also on the website, there's loads of resources that people can get access to. So if you want to start teaching your students about kind of how to be safe around using AI and things like that, we've got different resources for different age groups.
So just very briefly then, what does that process look like? Does a school need to be at a certain point on their AI journey in order to benefit from the community? Can people just go and find out what it's all about? What does that look like from a school perspective?
So anyone can join, no matter what your kind of starting point. So we have teachers who join the community who are thinking, oh, I need to jump on the AI bandwagon, I have no idea where to start. And they can, you can go in the forum and ask questions, or you can just have a look at what other people are sharing and just kind of lurk a little bit. But we've also got some people who are super, super into it and are really keen to kind of share their ideas of what they're up to so that we can help others as well.
I mean, we're in quite an interesting space at the moment. We're in the world's largest EdTech trade show and event space, I think, for professional development. On this subject, there's so much we can see around us on AI, pretty much everywhere you care to look. When it comes to being a part of that community and being a little bit more informed about the choices that we're making in our schools, how are you helping teachers, heads of departments, senior leaders to navigate that?
So one of the things that we desperately try to do is, with all the updates that come, and we know that they are thick and fast, and with the time pressures that come with being in school, it can be really hard to keep on top of that. So where there are things like, for example, the new AI standards that have been launched this week, we will, my colleague is creating this week a blog that's going to sit on the website and digest that and say, as a teacher, what do you need to know about this? What do you need to know? In a nice, easy to digest format without having to scroll through loads of information. Some of it will be relevant to teachers, the more relevant for leaders, and so on. So just trying to keep people up to date with everything, because we've got the time to stay in the know with what's going on. So just trying to make it easy for teachers to do that.
So let's talk about those standards for a moment, because this is hot off the press, right? This is Monday. The product safety standards came out from the DFE, written by Faye Skellington and her team. There's a lot in there that I suppose people were talking about when it comes to the anthropomorphization of AI and its implication on students. There's a lot in there about the social and emotional development or lack of when it comes to engaging with AI. And there's also quite a bit in there as well about cognitive offload when it comes to learning and being able to measure the pedagogical implications and impact of some of these tools. I mean, with this being relatively new, a lot of teachers might be thinking, or heads of department, okay, maybe I need to step back from what I've done already. Are we at a point where that's not possible? Are people able to take a step back from what they've already onboarded, what they've already subscribed to, what they've already started implementing?
I think it is possible to still take that step back and just, even if you don't stop what you're doing, you just pause. You don't necessarily take on anything new, but you just evaluate what you thought. Yeah, the sound issue.
I'm not sure what's happened there.
Testing, okay? You might do it. Testing.
Okay.
Yeah, so I think it's possible to just evaluate what kind of things you've already implemented in your school and whether those are working, whether they're the right decisions that have been made, as before kind of either pivoting to something else or introducing something new. I think one of the key things about what's come out on Monday is they changed the wording very, it's a little bit underhand and they've not made it particularly clear. Last year it was called guidance. This year it's called standards. So it's really important that this is now not a, oh, you might want to consider this, now it's a you must. And I think some of that bit around kind of cognitive overload and thinking about what students are learning them, the fact that they need to do the learning themselves and not rely on AI. And then Google has come out with the announcement, I think it was this morning, to say that they've got new tools that are supposedly going to help with that. So as long as they're not going to meet the standards that the DfE have put in, then I think that's a really nice move in the right direction. Hopefully others are going to follow.
But for teachers and indeed for school leaders that are already a little bit apprehensive about what's happening in the AI space and who are approaching this carefully, it feels like things can change at any moment, right? You need the decisions that you make for your school and for your learners need to be so well informed, which I suppose is a good thing, Becci, but how are you addressing that within your community?
So it is really difficult, and I think the thing that makes it quite difficult is everything is very quick moving, but also none of these announcements come with a warning because they just appear, and all of a sudden there's this brand new thing, and you're like, oh, okay, what do I do with this? So the DfE have obviously said today that they're supposedly going to be helping with, people navigating how to make those choices and tech within schools. So hopefully that will help. And I think the thing is that we don't recommend you on one particular platform or one particular provider, because we appreciate there's going to be different in different schools depending on, the type of students that you have there and the way that your school operates in places. So for us, it's all about the community being able to share with each other and ask questions. So being able to say, right, well, why asking people, well, why did you choose that particular platform in your school and why do you think it works for them? Because although we could try and answer those questions, we're not the ones in the classroom anymore. So it's much better to have the community answering the questions from others in the community.
So one of the mechanisms that you have for doing that is like the Teach Me that you mentioned that's coming up. Can you give us a bit more insight as to what that's about and what that will look like?
Yeah, so again, this happened with a conversation with John in our community, and he kind of said, well, I'm going to all of these AI conferences, and there's all these companies, and they're just trying to sell stuff. They've got AI in the title, and they're not necessarily any good. And the thing that, he wanted to see more than anything, and I completely agree, and I've seen this message echoed by many teachers, is I just want to know what other teachers are doing in their schools. So the idea is it's a completely free event. People can volunteer to come and share something. It might be something small, it might be something a bit larger. And then for other people to just come along and just soak up all of these ideas and have those conversations with the community that you can then take back to your own school.
There's almost a sense of disparity between schools that have the resource in terms of headspace, but also financial means to get what they might perceive as further ahead in the game with adopting new AI solutions, being able to subscribe and deploy at quite a quick and rapid pace versus those schools who are taking it a little more slowly. And at the moment, it seems to be the schools that are maximizing what AI usage looks like beyond anything else that seem to be the most progressive. Is that how do you measure those conversations with your schools, and how do you advise on what good looks like?
So again, we would never say, oh, you must go for this thing because this is the best that you can get. It is very school dependent. But we're very kind of keen on promoting free products. So not sort of saying, right, well, you need to go and spend loads and loads of money on this thing, but saying, right, well, here's a selection of free choices that you could choose from, so that you don't have to spend the money on that, and you could spend money on something else. And also thinking about, sorry, brain's gone blank. No, forgot of it.
Well, let's maybe move forward to what you've got coming up, Becci, because I know you've got some things in the pipeline for what's happening later on this year. We're not allowed to talk about everything, but are you able to give us a glimpse as to what's on the horizon?
Yeah, so one of the things that we've just done is the AI resources that I mentioned. We've just updated those. Yes. So we're looking selected topics. So you mentioned earlier about the kind of the social, emotional kind of aspects around children. So we decided that as one of the elements into the resources to kind of try and educate children about the dangers of trying to have relationships with chatbots. So there's other updates in there as well. And then obviously we will keep updating those as and when there are extra things that are needed. As well as all the other things that we have been working on, we have some new AI CPD that's coming. So if anyone is interested in that, they just need to join the AI community to be notified as soon as that's going to launch, which hopefully will be very soon.
When it comes to professional development, you alluded to this, I suppose, with the social and emotional development area. There seems to be two strands at the moment, right? There are teachers who want new tools and to understand which tools they should be using and what that process might look like when it comes to using AI technology in a teaching and learning capacity. And then there's also being able to understand what your students are using from a social and emotional development perspective and being able to support them. There's a lot more focus on professional development for the former and a lot less around the latter. But as we know from research that's been conducted by OpenAI around how people are using this technology, that's the one that we need most support with right now. How much time are you able to spend focusing on how do we support students from a social and emotional development perspective based on the AI they're using versus what a teaching and learning experience that's like?
So one of the things that we did last year was through our communities is we did some surveys with some year 7 students, and I think we had something in the region of about 3,000 responses from year 7 students across the country. And they were asked a variety of questions, but there's understandably a lot around AI in there. So we're asking them things like what platforms are they using and what are they using them for? And for the students that were answering it, they were using platforms that they are not old enough for. But there's not much on the market that is suitable for 11-year-olds.
That's a good thing, right?
Not really, because if they're, if the people who've made the products have said it's suitable for a particular age range, most of them are 13 plus, and we've got 11-year-olds using them, well, they might see content that they are not supposed to see. So it's really careful, people have to be aware of what the age requirements are for platforms, and that is one of the things that we've got into the resource when we're talking to students, so we can say, so you might be using this platform at home, but you are not supposed to be using it. You are not old enough to use it. You can compare it to social media and things like that. They're not supposed to use that either, but we know a lot of them do. One of the biggest things the students said that they were actually using AI for was around image generation. And my guess is, but this is a guess, that they're not using it because they need it. They're using it because it's fun. So one of the other things that we've done, and we've updated our primary resource around AI and how to use it safely and effectively, is we've talked about the environmental aspects of generating images with AI and the impact that has on the environment, in the hope that, yes, they might still generate images, and maybe they'll just think a little bit more carefully about the impact that what they're doing has on the world.
I suppose what I mean by it might be a good thing that there aren't products being developed for 11-year-olds is because from our perspective, there still needs to be a huge amount of work that's done around conversation with students, particularly at a primary level, on how to approach the technology from a responsible perspective before they even start using anything, regardless of what the age limit might be. How much work are you seeing in the primary space at the moment, and what does that look like?
So primary is really difficult because of the age barriers, but we know that camp students are using AI. So there are some platforms where if you're in, like, for example, Google Education, whoever is the admin for that trust, that school, they can choose whether to turn Gemini on and for which age groups. So there is a way there, and the other option at the moment is within Canva. within kind of designing kind of mostly AI images. Again, that's another way. But the moment they're saying that is safe for primary school children to use, but it is really, really difficult when most of it is set at a higher age range. But yet we know that they're using it. So that's one of the things that we try to address within that primary resource of, well, we know you use more, so we can tell you about how to use it safely, but at no point will we promoting using the AI in the classroom with primary school children.
What about when it comes to, for example, computer science curriculum and changes that are happening in that space? Are you able to tell us more about what best practice sharing from teachers looks like through the lens of computer science specifically?
Yeah, so we know from the curriculum assessment review report and the DFE's response to that AI is going to be heavily mentioned within the new curriculum, and digital skills is a massively focus. There hasn't been anything worked out yet in terms of, what kind of AI kind of content is heavily taught and at what age we're in discussions about what would be a suitable age appropriate sort of content to teach about different elements of AI to different students. Some of that falls into the AI literacy hand, and when they are using it, how to use it safely and being aware of things like not finding their own personal data, or bias comes in a little bit more when they get a little bit older. But the main things about hallucination and just knowing that can just make stuff up. So yeah, there will be stuff in there, but we haven't ironed out kind of the full ins and outs of exactly what that's going to be at each kind of age range.
So finally then, and again, just reflecting on the space that we're in and the environment that we're sitting in today, what sort of advice do you offer teachers when it comes to approaching an event like BETT and thinking through the different possibilities that you might be seeing for your school?
So I saw somebody who's posted on LinkedIn last week, so they were coming here for the first time this year, and what did I do? And I said, to be honest, the best things about BETT is going to the talks, catching up with old friends, meeting some new people. Some of the stands are really, really interesting. You can get some really, really great information and products and services for your school. You can take that. And then others, maybe have just jumped on the AI bandwagon and they're saying they're using it, then maybe it's not suiting the students, or they're not using it in the best way. So it's kind of take everything with a bit of pinch of salt. Don't spend any money while you're here on the stands. Take all the information, digest it, have those conversations when you go back to your school.
Hopefully have a bit of fun at the same time.
Oh, definitely.
Becci, thank you ever so much for being with us at
Thanks for having me.
the first ever Good Future Foundation booth at BETT. It's wonderful to be here, and it's wonderful to hear about the work you're doing. Thanks ever so much once again for your time.
Thanks very much.